Most business owners stuck under $100,000 a month can't figure out exactly what's holding them back from hitting their next revenue goal. If that sounds like you, then listen up. It's not because you're not working hard enough. It's because you've never been taught how to find the real problem versus the problem that just looks obvious. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact 3 steps you need to do to figure out what's actually holding you back, and I'll show you 2 real-world examples using 2 businesses I've actually scaled. First, what this actually is, and the trap most people fall into. Second, how to verify the constraint with data instead of guessing so you know confidently that's what's actually holding you back from your next revenue goal. And number 3, how to attack it relentlessly once you know. Because most people who actually break through end up sliding right back down anyways if they don't keep pushing at the same level of effort. And I'll talk more about that in this video. My name is Ryan Frost. I've generated over $11.5 million across founder-led companies over the last 6 years, and everything I'm about to show you comes directly from that experience. In this video, I'm mainly going to focus on the theory of constraints. This single skill is the skill that you need no matter what size your business is. And that skill is to be able to understand and implement what's called the theory of constraints. It's a simple theory, and once you understand it, this is the key that will help you unlock your next revenue and finally scale your business. Essentially, every business has only one actual bottleneck holding it back from scaling at any given time. Yes, it might seem like there are multiple parts of your funnel or your system that could be holding you back, but what you should actually do as the business owner is just focus on just the one thing where if you move that needle, then you get 10 times the results. Go watch any Elon Musk video. That's all he does across his businesses. He identifies the biggest constraints, puts all of his time, energy, and effort into solving it, and then he moves on. That's exactly how he scales. And that's exactly what I'm here to teach you how to do in your own business. If you fix the right thing, growth speeds up. If you fix the wrong thing, you waste months while the real problem keeps getting worse. Depending on your exact business, your revenue, and your numbers, there might be several different bottlenecks. The goal is to find the one where if you solve it, it 10x's everything else. For example, if you know your consult conversion rate is at 10%, then to double your business, all you need to do is to double the number of booked calls that actually show up on your team's calendar. Double the consults, close at the same rate, and you've doubled your revenue. But here's the trap. Most people assume the first constraint is always marketing. Not enough leads, not enough attention. That's not always true. And I'm living proof of it right now. I run a telehealth and peptide brand called Expert Health. Here's what actually makes it different. We legally couldn't market it at all. Not because of budget, not because of strategy, because you can't market a prescription product before fulfillment and compliance are solved. There was no version of, let's just run some ads and see if this works. We had to build the entire foundation first, the fulfillment system, the partnerships with doctors and prescribers, before we could even think about marketing. Fulfillment wasn't just important, it was the only door in. That's what makes this niche so unique and honestly so expensive to get into. More on that later in another video. So instead of starting with marketing, we focused entirely on fulfillment first, the structure and the systems to actually prescribe medication after someone purchases. Only once that was solved could we even think about marketing. If we would have gone straight into marketing, I would have been marketing into a broken system because fulfillment was the actual constraint, not lead generation at that specific moment. Once fulfillment was solved, the next constraint became simple. No one knew the company existed, so we moved into marketing. But there's a twist here too. You can't run paid ads for prescription medication until you have something called a legit script certification, otherwise Meta will ban your ad account. And so before we could actually solve marketing and do paid advertising like I wanted to, I have to solve legit script certification. So in the meantime, I had to figure out a different way to market. And because of time constraints, organic content wasn't the best option for me right now either. So I leaned into AI, specifically AI SEO or AEO over the last few months, and that generates us about 4,000 visits a month just from ChatGPT alone. And we're consistently getting conversions. So right now we're putting all of our time, energy, and effort into that while we wait for our legit script certification to get approved. Then we can unleash our massive ad spend budget to be able to scale that business. And then I'm probably gonna have to deal with more back-end fulfillment and other constraints. but I'm not going to worry about that until I solve this first constraint, which is lead gen, marketing, and conversions. And that's the point. The constraint is constantly changing. You need to clearly understand exactly what's holding you back right now, not in general, not based on generic advice, not based on gut, not based on emotions. You have to actually sit down, review your actual numbers across marketing, sales, and fulfillment and customer success, and identify what's really holding you back based on the data, not your feelings. So how do you know you've actually found the real constraint and you're not just guessing? Here's a case where the data told us something we didn't expect. I've taken 3 different businesses through this exact same process. All 3 started with the same constraint: marketing. Not enough leads, not enough people knew what they do, and not enough people knew that that business could solve their problems. And we fixed that first by heavily marketing and optimizing for cost per lead and lead volume. And leads started coming in, but fixing marketing didn't fix the business. It just revealed the next constraint. In every one of these businesses, the business owner ended up taking every single sales call himself and started drowning, literally not having enough time to speak to a lot of people. And a lot of those calls were people who weren't even qualified. The natural next instinct was what most marketers will tell you, is to add an application to filter the leads before they're allowed to book. The problem is most people lie on applications, and the data proves that. Qualified people lie because they don't want to get spammed by sales guys. Unqualified people lie the other way because they're embarrassed about where they're actually at. Here's the deeper issue. Identifying the constraint isn't just enough. You have to think through the first and third order consequences of how you solve it, because different solutions create different new bottlenecks. You have to game it out. If we solve it this way, this happens. If we solve it that way, that happens instead. In this case, the better move wasn't to restrict the funnel. It was to bring in a setter, not to pre-qualified leads before they book, but to call and confirm the appointment after they already booked. Let the setter absorb the volume and the noise. If someone doesn't confirm, allow double booking rather than canceling their slot outright. That frees up the closer to spend time only on the calls that actually show up ready without cutting off lead flow. We'd already proven that more live consults at the same conversion rate means more revenue earlier in this video, and I'd rather have double booked calendars than a setter canceling appointments based on a guess or a feeling, or even worse, a lie from the prospect because they don't trust you enough to tell you their actual situation. That one change, nothing to the ads, nothing to the offer, allowed us to have 50% more total consults that ended up showing simply because we allowed for drastically more bookings. That's what verifying the real constraint with data actually looks like, not assuming, but measuring based on the data and making an educated guess and thinking outside the box. Now here's where it gets dynamic, because once your closer is fully booked and they're double booked and they're having way more live consults, your instinct might be to restrict the funnel. But before you restrict the funnel, you should just consider bringing in another closer until you fill up that closer's calendar. I'm pro of more volume leads to a better outcome. The more inputs, the more outputs you get, right? So instead of restricting your funnel, just hire more people to take more calls. And sometimes the real constraint isn't sales or marketing at all. It's that you don't have enough offers. If your calendar is full of a mix of qualified and unqualified traffic, sometimes the answer is to simply introduce a downsell, so you convert more of the traffic you're already paying for and liquidate your ad spend more efficiently. Scaling isn't always about restricting the funnel or getting better at marketing and sales. Sometimes it's just having more offers. This is exactly what I focus on with my business, findabundance.ai. I help service-based business owners across the US identify the biggest constraint holding them back and build data-based game plan to solve it, one constraint at a time. Here's a real example. One of the businesses I'm head of go-to-market for, we added so much friction to the funnel that our sales team was only getting a handful of calls a week, but every single one of them was fully qualified. So we decided to do the opposite of what every other consultant told us to do. We introduced a downsell and let more people book directly to our closers' calendars. Since doing that, we've 5x'd our total live consults across 2 closers, doubling the number of qualified follow-ups showing to calls. And this is increasing our total sales and our total conversions. So the moral of that story is that last year, when we looked at the data, we realized that we just simply were making more money every single month because we just had more total calls. And after listening to the experts at the beginning of the year, we restricted the funnel so much that yes, our closers were only talking to the most qualified people, but the problem is they weren't talking to enough people. So just simply opening the floodgates is what turned this business around. Sometimes the right move is the opposite of what the industry tells you to do. And that's exactly why you have to test things against your own data, not conventional wisdom. If you want help doing this in your business, click the link below and schedule a call with my team, and I'll personally help you identify what I believe your constraint is based on your actual data. If you don't have your numbers yet, we'll build you a system using AI so you know exactly what your numbers are, so you can make data-based decisions instead of just guessing. This is what I mean when I say the constraint moves. Fix marketing and sales might become the next constraint. Solve sales and fulfillment shows up. Because now you've got more deals closing than you can deliver on. Whenever you find the real constraint, that's where all of your time, energy, and effort goes. Not spread across 5 priorities, just the one constraint. And here's something important. The effort it takes to solve the constraint isn't the same at every stage. Breaking through a constraint at $30,000 a month takes a different level of effort than breaking through that same type of a constraint at $300,000 a month. The level of effort required typically scales proportionally with your revenue. Don't expect that same push to get you that got you through the last breakthrough to be enough to get you through the next breakthrough. And here's where people mess this up on the other side. Some business owners solve the constraint, hit the next level, and then get complacent. They ease off the effort that got them there. They get distracted, comfortable, whatever it is, and a few months later, they're wondering why their business went stagnant or worse, even went backwards. It's not a mystery. Say you put everything into marketing, you solved lead generation, then you shifted your focus to sales and let your marketing effort drop by 60%. A couple months later, marketing will be your constraint again. That's why once you solve a constraint, you need to install systems or people to sustain that same level of effort while you move on to the next one. If you neglect your first constraint, it'll come back to haunt you. So here's one more example because I'm living this one too. I'm launching this YouTube channel, the one that you're watching right now. Long-term, organic content is one of the best lead sources I could build for myself, but only a year from now. Here's my constraint today. I want more revenue now, not in a year. So the fastest path to money right now isn't content. It's cold outreach, networking, and paid advertising. That's where most of my time and energy is going this month, but this channel is a long-term bet that I'm building in parallel. I'm not just confusing it with my current constraint. That's the actual skill, identifying what's true right now and putting your effort where the constraint actually is. So again, if leads or traffic are low, that's marketing. If leads are coming in but not converting to booked calls, that's honestly half marketing, half sales. You can fix it better with personalized follow-up, even using AI or installing an outbound setter to call the leads the moment they hit your funnel. If your booked call to close rate is lacking, that could be a quality issue or a volume issue or a skill issue. Sometimes it means installing a better sales process. Sometimes it just means hiring a better closer. And solving any of this takes a scientific method mindset. You make an educated guess based on data, implement it, and stick to it long enough to actually know if it worked, instead of pivoting too early. If deals are closing, but delivery can't keep up, that's fulfillment. But you only really have that problem if your team or you personally literally can't execute. Before you hire or delegate, audit your calendar for wasted time. Check whether your offer is too dependent on you personally, and check whether you're actually leveraging automation and AI enough. Remember, the order is to eliminate, automate, delegate. First, ask if something is even necessary to get the client to their outcome. If not, then just cut it. A lot of businesses overstuff their offer with fluff just to justify a higher price. Anything that doesn't directly solve the client's problem is fluff. If you're a business owner stuck above $25,000 a month and you want help identifying exactly what your constraint is and how to break through to the next level, click the link in my bio and schedule a call. You'll be talking with me directly and I'll personally help you build the plan to scale your business. Here's the one thing I want you to do, not this week, but right now. Pull up your data and narrow it down to the top 3 potential constraints. Then sit with it and decide which one is the real one. You might not get it right on the first try, but even identifying and optimizing one will move your business forward. Then you do the next one, and then the next one, and that's how you consistently scale. Pick your top constraint and put all of your time, energy, and effort into that one thing at a minimum of 2 weeks before you touch anything else. I'm building Expert Health from scratch, in public, constraint by constraint. If you want to see exactly how this unfolds, including the next constraint I'm attacking, then keep watching my YouTube channel. If you found value in this video, like it, comment, and share it. Drop a question in the comments. I personally read and respond to every single one. No automation, no VA, just me. And if this helped you, click the next video, and I'll see you on the other side.